Imagine living in a small town where everyone knows everyone, and suddenly people start receiving anonymous letters that expose their deepest, darkest secrets. That's exactly what happened in Circleville, Ohio, back in 1977. The letters weren't just your typical hate mail. They were detailed, threatening, and written in a distinctive, almost obsessive handwriting. They accused people of everything from embezzlement to affairs and even murder. It wasn't long before the whole town was on edge, wondering who was watching them so closely. But things took a deadly turn when Ron Gillespie, one of the recipients, got a mysterious phone call. He told his family he was going to confront the person behind the letters, but on his way, he died in a suspicious car crash. As if that wasn't enough, his wife later narrowly escaped death herself when a booby-trapped sign, rigged with a gun, almost took her life. The investigation pointed to Ron's brother-in-law, Paul Freshour. He had bought the gun used in the trap, and his handwriting was said to match the letters. Sounds like a closed case, right? Not so fast. Even after Freshour was locked up, the letters didn't stop. In fact, they kept coming, even when he was in solitary confinement, which leaves us with a chilling question. If Freshour was behind the letters, who kept them going while he was in prison? Was he working with someone else? Or was the real culprit still out there taunting the town? To this day, no one knows for sure, making the Circleville letters one of the most baffling, unsolved mysteries in American history. Picture this. It's a typical Sunday night in Chicago, 1987, and you're watching your favorite TV show when suddenly, bam, the screen goes dark and then you see something that's as bizarre as it is unsettling. A man in a rubber mask, dressed as the character Max Headroom, appears on your screen. He's babbling in a distorted voice, mocking the very station he's hijacked, throwing in random pop culture references, and then, in a surreal twist, he gets spanked with a fly swatter. The whole thing is straight out of a David Lynch movie. This wasn't just some elaborate prank. This was a real-life broadcast hijacking, something that was almost unheard of at the time. The hijacker broke into not one but two TV stations that night, leaving viewers and authorities baffled. Despite the bizarre nature of the interruption, the person or group behind it was never caught. Even after the statute of limitations expired, no one came forward to claim responsibility. So who was the man behind the mask? And how did he manage to pull off one of the most infamous TV hijackings in history without getting caught? It's a mystery that remains as elusive as the distorted figure who took over the airwaves that night. What if I told you that one of the best preserved mummies in history wasn't from ancient Egypt, but from ancient China? Yeah, I know it sounds surprising, but the story of Xin Jue is truly one for the books. In 1968, a group of diggers in Changsha, China, stumbled upon something incredible, a tomb dating back over 2,000 years, belonging to a noblewoman named Xin Jue. Now here's the weird part. Unlike most mummies, which are dry and skeletal, Xin Jue's body was found in an almost pristine state. Her skin was still soft, her muscles were intact, and even her veins still contained blood. Yes, you heard that right. Actual blood from over 2 millennia ago. Scientists were stunned. They believed the preservation might have something to do with the tomb's deep underground setting and the unique structure of her coffin. But even with all the theories, there's still no clear answer as to why her body is so well preserved compared to others. How could a body last that long, looking almost as if it was only buried yesterday? It's a mystery that has baffled experts for decades. So what do you think? Is this just an extraordinary scientific phenomenon, or is there something more mystical at play here? Okay, buckle up, because this one's a doozy. Imagine it's 11 a.m. on a seemingly normal day in March 1876 in Bath County, Kentucky. You're going about your business when, out of nowhere, chunks of meat start raining down from the sky. Sounds like something out of a horror movie, right? But it actually happened. Now, you're probably wondering, what on earth was going on? Some locals thought it was a sign from God, while others were more, let's say, adventurous, and decided to taste the mystery meat to figure out what it was. Yeah, that's dedication to curiosity. Samples were sent to the Newark Scientific Association, where experts concluded it was lung tissue, most likely from a horse or a cow. But that's just the beginning of the weirdness. One of the most accepted explanations is that a group of vultures had just eaten a large meal and were startled into flight. Vultures have this charming habit of vomiting when they're scared, and it's possible that a whole flock of them puked up their lunch mid-air, raining down on the poor people of Bath County. But like many bizarre events in history, no one knows for sure what really happened. So what do you think? Was it a freak natural occurrence, or could there be something more out there? What if I told you there's a story that some believe is rumor of reincarnation? Yeah, it sounds wild, but stick with me. It all starts with the Pollock family. In May of 1957, two sisters, Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, were tragically killed in a car accident while walking to church. As you can imagine, their parents were devastated. But here's where things take a strange turn. 17 months later, Florence Pollock gave birth to identical twin girls, Jillian and Jennifer. Now, you might think this is where the family's healing began, but what happened next is what really makes this story chilling. The parents noticed something strange right away. These new twins had the same birthmarks and even scars in the exact same spots as their deceased sisters. Creepy, right? But it doesn't end there. As the girls grew up, they started showing the same personality traits and interests as Joanna and Jacqueline. And here's the kicker. Despite moving away from the area when they were just 9 months old, the twins somehow knew their way around when they visited 4 years later. They recognized landmarks, remembered the old house, and even knew details about their late sisters' lives that they had no way of knowing. So what do we make of this? Some people see this as a clear case of reincarnation, like the souls of Joanna and Jacqueline found their way back through Jillian and Jennifer. Others think it's just a series of eerie coincidences, maybe even the result of grieving parents wanting so desperately to see their lost daughters and their new children. It's one of those stories that makes you wonder, is there something more at play here? Could this really be evidence of reincarnation? Or is our mind just making connections where none exist? What do you think? All right, imagine this. It's December 1900, and you're a sailor passing by the remote Flannan Isles off the coast of Scotland. You expect to see the lighthouse shining its guiding light through the fog, but instead, nothing. The light is out. It's not just an eerie sight, it's a dangerous one. So you report it, and soon after, a relief crew is sent to investigate. But when they arrive, things go from strange to downright chilling. The lighthouse is completely deserted. The three keepers, experienced men who knew the dangers of the job, are nowhere to be found. Their log entries, tools, even half-eaten meals are left behind, as if they just vanished into thin air. The investigation revealed signs of a violent storm, leading to the conclusion that the men were likely swept away by a giant wave. But here's the thing. No bodies were ever found, and some of the clues didn't quite add up. So, what really happened on that stormy December night? Was it just a tragic accident? Or is there something more to the mystery of the Flannan Isles? This case has puzzled people for over a century, and while the official story is that a wave took them, many still believe there's something more mysterious going on. Let's talk about one of the strangest weather phenomena you've probably never heard of. Hector the Convector. Yeah, it sounds like the name of a superhero. But Hector is actually a massive thundercloud that forms almost every afternoon between September and March over the Tiwi Islands in Australia's Northern Territory. So, what's the big deal? Well, Hector isn't just any old thunderstorm. It's so reliable that pilots and sailors used it as a navigational marker back in the day. And it's not just a little puff of cloud either. This thing can produce intense lightning, torrential rain, and powerful winds. Scientists have been studying Hector for years, trying to understand exactly why it forms so regularly and with such intensity. They think it has something to do with the way sea breezes interact with the island's unique landscape. But here's the kicker. There's still a lot we don't know about it. How can something as unpredictable as weather be so predictable? It's a mystery of nature that has fascinated meteorologists and locals alike. So what do you think? Is Hector just a really cool quirk of nature? Or could there be something more mysterious brewing in the skies over the Tiwi Islands? In 2013, a seemingly ordinary day turned extraordinary for a couple living near a remote part of Northern California. While out for a walk, they stumbled upon something that would change their lives forever, a treasure trove of coins. At first glance, these coins were valued at a modest $27,000, but as their historical significance became apparent, their worth skyrocketed to a staggering $10 million. Now, this treasure, known as the Saddle Ridge Hoard, is poised to make history again as the first major coin sale on Amazon. Yet there's a shadow over this discovery. The couple, fearing a flood of fortune seekers, have kept the exact location of their find a closely guarded secret. Speculation about the origins of the treasure ran wild, with many suggesting it might have been stolen from the U.S. Mint. But after exhaustive research and the firm denial of any such link by Mint representatives, the mystery of who buried these coins and why remains unsolved. Then there's the enigma of Bermeja, a phantom island once believed to exist off the northern coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. For centuries, it appeared on maps, a mere speck in the vast Gulf of Mexico. But in the 20th century, when researchers set out to find it, they found nothing, only water where an island should have been. Was Bermeja ever real? Or was it simply a cartographic error that endured through time? Even today, the island's disappearance, or perhaps its non-existence, leaves experts baffled. And who could forget the eerie tale of the Joyita, a merchant vessel that vanished in the South Pacific in 1955? Ships sink, storms rage, and the ocean claims what it will. But this was no ordinary disappearance. The Joyita was a ship built to withstand the most treacherous seas, designed so it could not easily sink. Yet when it was found, days after it was declared missing, there was no trace of its 25 passengers and crew. The ship itself was still afloat, partially submerged, yet utterly deserted. Where did the people go? Why did they abandon a vessel that was their best hope for survival? The questions hang like a ghostly mist over the Pacific, never to be answered. And then there's the unsettling encounter in 1973 that left two men from Pascagoula, Mississippi, forever changed. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker were fishing by the river when their peaceful night was shattered by a whizzing sound and flashing blue lights. What they saw next defies explanation, an oval-shaped craft hovering above them. They claimed they were abducted, examined by strange beings, and then returned, paralyzed but aware. Skeptics lined up to debunk their story, with some suggesting Hickson experienced a walking dream state. But the men stood by their account, leaving the world to wonder, what really happened that night by the Pascagoula River? The first verified ascent of Mount Everest is a tale of triumph. Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay standing atop the world on May 29, 1953. But could they have been beaten to the summit nearly 3 decades earlier? In 1924, British mountaineers Andrew Irvine and George Mallory embarked on their own perilous climb up Everest. They never returned. Mallory's frozen body was found in 1999, nearly 27,000 feet up the mountain, but Irvine and the camera they carried remain lost to the unforgiving heights. Did they reach the top before they perished? The mountain keeps its secrets well, and we may never know the truth. King Arthur, his name echoes through centuries of myth and legend. Camelot, the Knights of the Round Table, Merlin, and Excalibur. These are the threads that weave the tapestry of his story. But if Arthur truly existed, his life was likely far less enchanted. The earliest accounts, dating back to the 9th century, describe a leader who fought against Saxon invaders. But even these sparse details are shrouded in doubt. Sites like Tintagel are linked to Arthur, yet no excavation has confirmed his existence. Was Arthur a real man, or merely a creation of folklore? After more than a millennium, the line between history and legend has blurred beyond recognition. And then there's Atlantis, the legendary island of advanced civilization and catastrophic downfall, as told by the Greek philosopher Plato in the 4th century BC Atlantis. A mighty power that vanished beneath the ocean's waves, has fascinated imaginations for centuries. But was there a grain of truth in this ancient story? Some suggest that the legend was inspired by the Minoan civilization of Crete, which thrived until a volcanic eruption shattered their world. Though Crete lies in the Mediterranean, far from the Atlantic, the devastation they suffered may have fueled the myth of Atlantis. But like so many stories from the distant past, the truth is elusive, and the debate is likely to remain unsettled forever. Deep in the heart of Nevada lies a place shrouded in mystery and speculation, Area 51. This remote U.S. Air Force facility has long been the subject of conspiracy theories and UFO folklore. Whispers of an alien spacecraft hidden away and secret underground labs conducting experiments on extraterrestrial technology have fueled the imaginations of many. But what really happens within the heavily guarded boundaries of Area 51? The truth remains elusive, locked away behind layers of secrecy, leaving us only to wonder what secrets the desert might be hiding. Across the Atlantic, in the tranquil countryside of Staffordshire, England, stands a monument that at first glance seems ordinary. But as you approach the 18th century Shepherd's Monument, a curious detail emerges, a sequence of letters, DOUSVAVVM. For centuries, this cryptic code has defied all attempts to unravel its meaning. Some believe it could be a hidden message left by the Knights Templar, a clue to the whereabouts of the legendary Holy Grail. Yet despite the efforts of countless experts and enthusiasts, the code remains unsolved, its meaning lost to time. And in southern England, amidst the rolling plains, stands Stonehenge, a prehistoric monument that has captivated the world for millennia. Built with towering stones that took an estimated 30 million hours to erect, Stonehenge is a marvel of ancient engineering. Some suggest that the stones were moved not by human hands, but by the immense power of glaciers during an ice age. But why was it built? What purpose did it serve? Even today, Stonehenge stands as a silent sentinel, its true purpose still a mystery, lost in the shadows of history. Across continents and through centuries, tales of elusive, giant, hairy beings have captured the human imagination. In the icy heights of the Himalayas, it's the Yeti, also known as the abominable snowman. In the dense forests of North America, it's Bigfoot or Sasquatch. And in the remote reaches of Russia, they call theirs the Almasty. Despite the countless sightings and stories, one detail remains consistent. Most photographic evidence is blurry, and video footage is frustratingly shaky. When scrutinized, these so-called encounters often unravel into cases of mistaken identity or elaborate hoaxes. But just last year, a British geneticist made headlines with a startling discovery. Hair samples, allegedly from two of these mysterious creatures, were found to be a genetic match to an ancient polar bear. This revelation has added a new layer of intrigue to the legend. The scientist's DNA findings are set to be published in a peer-reviewed journal, and he plans to release a book detailing his research later this year. Could this be the clue that unravels the mystery of these legendary beasts, or will it only deepen the enigma? And then there's the case of Marilyn Monroe, a Hollywood icon whose death in August 1962 at the age of 36 was officially ruled a beep by overdose. But despite the coroner's conclusion, questions and suspicions have lingered for decades. The inconsistencies surrounding her death are enough to fuel 1,000 conspiracy theories. Discrepancies about the time her body was discovered, the mysterious disappearance of her internal organs at the morgue, and her infamous connections to President John F. Kennedy, his brother Robert, and organized crime figures. But who was the real Marilyn Monroe? Beneath the carefully crafted image of Marilyn Monroe was Norma Jean Baker, a smart, well-read brunette. The contrast between the public persona and the private individual adds yet another layer of mystery to her life and untimely death. Was Marilyn's demise truly a tragic act of self-destruction? Or is there more to the story that remains hidden in the shadows? All right, let's dive into some fascinating mysteries that have puzzled scientists and thinkers for decades. We're going to take a closer look at 5 mind-boggling concepts, each challenging our understanding of the universe and life itself. First up, let's talk about consciousness, that spark within us that brings thought, awareness, and self-recognition. It's at the core of what makes us human, yet it remains one of the most profound mysteries. Despite all the advances in neuroscience, we still don't fully understand how neural impulses, the tiny electrical signals firing in our brains, become subjective experiences. You might have heard of the hard problem of consciousness, a term coined by philosopher David Chalmers in 1995. This idea digs into the big question: how do physical processes in the brain translate into the personal awareness that each of us experiences every day? It's a riddle that scientists and philosophers are still trying to solve. Now let's zoom out into the vastness of space. Astronomers have done an incredible job mapping out the universe's large-scale structure. Yet there's a significant chunk of the universe's ordinary matter, the stuff that makes up stars, planets, and even us, that's just missing. This is known as the missing baryon problem. For years, scientists have been scratching their heads, wondering where this matter could be hiding. Recent studies suggest that these elusive baryons might be lurking in the diffuse gas between galaxies. But even with this clue, the exact nature and whereabouts of these baryons are still largely unknown. Now, let's switch gears to something a bit more down to earth, but no less perplexing: turbulence. If you've ever been on a bumpy airplane ride, you've experienced it firsthand. Turbulence is essentially chaotic, unpredictable fluid motion. And while scientists have tried to understand it using the Navier-Stokes equations, the fundamental equations of fluid dynamics, it's still not fully explained. There's a whole debate about whether these equations can truly capture the complexity of turbulent flows. And while Kolmogorov's 1941 scaling concepts have been a huge help in understanding turbulence, they don't answer all the questions. Turbulence remains an unsolved puzzle, one that keeps physicists up at night. Speaking of puzzles, let's talk about the origin of life. How did life begin on Earth? It's one of the biggest questions in science. Theories like the primordial soup, which suggests that life started from simple organic compounds in early Earth's oceans, offer some clues. But the exact processes that sparked the first living cells are still shrouded in mystery. Despite all our advances in biology and chemistry, the moment when non-living matter became living organisms remains one of the most profound unsolved questions in science. Lastly, let's explore something a bit more unusual, the Mpemba effect. Imagine this. You have two containers of water, one hot and one cold. You put them both in the freezer. And surprisingly, the hot water freezes faster than the cold. Sounds impossible, right? This is the Mpemba effect, first observed by a Tanzanian student named Erasto Mpemba in 1963. Since then, scientists have confirmed that this phenomenon does happen under certain conditions, but they still don't fully understand why. Some theories suggest it has to do with evaporation, convection, or even the properties of hydrogen bonds, but no one has nailed down a definitive explanation yet. So, there you have it, 5 of the most intriguing mysteries in science today. Each of these phenomena challenges our understanding and reminds us just how much there is still to discover. Whether it's the nature of consciousness, the missing matter in the universe, the chaotic dance of fluids, the origins of life, or the strange behavior of freezing water, these mysteries continue to inspire and perplex scientists around the world. India, a land where history and myth intertwine, is a treasure trove of ancient wonders and enduring mysteries. Its vibrant cultures, monumental architecture, and sacred texts are just the beginning. Beneath the surface lies a world of unsolved enigmas that continue to intrigue historians, archaeologists, and curious minds alike. Today, let's embark on a journey to uncover some of the most compelling mysteries from India's past. Our first stop is one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations in the world, the Indus Valley Civilization. This ancient society, which flourished between 3300 BCE and 1300 BCE, was remarkable for its urban planning, with well-organized cities, intricate drainage systems, and even an undeciphered script that still puzzles linguists today. But perhaps the greatest mystery of the Indus Valley civilization is its sudden and unexplained decline. Despite thriving for centuries, the civilization abruptly disappeared. Was it due to a catastrophic natural disaster, such as a massive flood or earthquake? Could climate change have made the region uninhabitable? Or was it an invasion by foreign forces that led to their downfall? Despite extensive excavations and research, we still don't have a definitive answer, leaving this ancient mystery wide open. Next, we visit the heart of Delhi, where an ancient marvel stands tall, the Iron Pillar of Delhi. This remarkable structure, dating back to around 400 CE during the Gupta period, is over 7 meters tall and weighs more than 6 tons. But what truly sets this pillar apart is its incredible resistance to corrosion. For more than 1,600 years, the Iron Pillar has withstood the ravages of time and weather, remaining largely rust-free. Scientists and historians have studied its composition, marveling at the advanced metallurgical techniques that must have been used by ancient craftsmen. How did they achieve this feat of engineering? What secrets of ancient technology does the Iron Pillar hold? Despite our modern advancements, the precise methods used to create this rust-resistant wonder remain a mystery, showcasing the ingenuity of ancient Indian metallurgy. As we explore these unsolved mysteries, we're reminded that history is not just a series of events, but a complex tapestry of stories, many of which are still being unraveled. The sudden decline of the Indus Valley civilization and the technological marvel of the Iron Pillar are just 2 examples of the profound enigmas that enrich India's historical narrative. These mysteries invite us to look deeper into the past, challenging our understanding and sparking our imagination. This journey into the unresolved enigmas of Indian history is about more than just seeking answers. It's about appreciating the depth and complexity of a past that continues to shape our present. As we uncover more about these ancient mysteries, we gain not only knowledge but also a greater appreciation for the ingenuity and resilience of those who came before us. First up, we have the enigma surrounding Subhas Chandra Bose, one of India's most prominent freedom fighters. Bose was a key figure in the Indian independence movement, but his fate after 1945 remains, well, shrouded in mystery. Official reports suggest that Bose died in a plane crash in Taiwan, but definitive evidence has never been presented. Over the years, numerous theories have surfaced. Some believe Bose went into hiding, possibly to evade capture by the British. Others speculate that he was captured by the Soviets, or even the British themselves. Despite multiple investigations, Bose's disappearance continues to be one of India's most enduring historical mysteries, with people still debating what really happened to this iconic leader. The secret chamber of Padmanabhaswamy Temple. Next, we turn our attention to the Padmanabhaswamy Temple in Kerala, a site renowned for its opulence and deep historical roots. The temple has drawn attention not just for its religious significance, but also for the mysterious sealed chamber within its premises. While several chambers of the temple have been opened, revealing a staggering treasure trove of gold, jewels, and artifacts, one chamber, known as Vault B, remains sealed. This chamber is said to be cursed and is shrouded in mystery. What could be inside? Is it more treasure, ancient artifacts, or something far more mystical? The contents of Vault B have fueled endless speculation, making it one of the most tantalizing, unsolved mysteries in Indian history. The riddle of the Rupkund Skeleton Lake. Finally, let's journey to the remote and eerie Rupkund Lake, nestled high in the Indian Himalayas. This lake is also known as Skeleton Lake, and for a good reason. Hundreds of human skeletons have been found in and around the lake. These remains date back to the 9th century CE and appear to be the result of a catastrophic event. But who were these people? How did they all perish in such a remote location? Research suggests they may have been caught in a sudden, deadly hailstorm, but the true story behind these mass deaths remains elusive. The skeletons of Rupkund Lake continue to puzzle scientists and historians alike, adding yet another chapter to the mysteries of India's past. The eternal quest for answers. These mysteries of Indian history are more than just unsolved puzzles. They are reminders of the complex and layered history of this ancient land. They challenge our understanding, inviting us to question what we think we know and to marvel at the unknown. With advances in technology and research methods, we may one day uncover the truth behind these enigmatic stories. But until then, they remain fascinating tales, testaments to the rich and mysterious tapestry of India's cultural and historical heritage. The Lost River of Saraswati. The Saraswati River is often described in ancient Indian scriptures like the Rigveda as a mighty and sacred river that once flowed through the northern plains of India. It is said to have been the lifeline of the early Vedic civilization, nurturing its people and playing a crucial role in their cultural and spiritual practices. But here's where the mystery begins. Over time, the river seems to have vanished, leaving behind no clear traces. For many years, the Saraswati River was considered by some to be more of a mythological concept than a physical reality. However, this view has been challenged by recent scientific discoveries. Satellite imagery and geological surveys have revealed what appears to be an ancient riverbed stretching across the Thar Desert, a path that closely aligns with descriptions of the Saraswati in ancient texts. These findings have reignited interest and debate among historians, archaeologists, and geologists alike. So, was the Saraswati River a real flowing waterway that once supported early Indian civilizations? Many researchers now believe that it was indeed a real river, possibly one that dried up due to tectonic shifts, climate change, or changes in its course. If this is true, the Saraswati would have been one of the major rivers of ancient India, shaping not only the landscape, but also the cultural and spiritual life of the people who lived along its banks. But even with these modern discoveries, the full story of the Saraswati River remains elusive. We still don't have all the answers to questions like, when exactly did the river dry up? How did its disappearance affect the civilizations that depended on it? And perhaps most intriguingly, how much of what we know from ancient texts is historical fact versus poetic or religious symbolism? The search for the Saraswati River continues, blending the lines between history, science, and mythology. It's a journey that connects us with the ancient past and challenges us to rethink what we know about one of the world's oldest civilizations.